Okay, so now it's time to do the headboard and the footboard. To do that, what we're going to do to give you an overall view is take these 2x2s. Those are going to be technically the legs. They'll go on either side like that. You'll have a board across the top, a board across the bottom, and then 2 boards on either side. So what we can do right now is to create the panel, or basically it's like a face frame with 4 of our pieces, these 2 and those 2 right there. We're using a 1x3 with the sides and the top, and then we're going to use this 1x8 for the bottom, because remember, the mattress sits up against this. It's going to be 9 inches or so above the actual frame itself. So we want to allow for a little bit of room so that way things don't fall down behind and aesthetically pleasing. Also, if we had 2 of these, it would look a little, there'd be a huge gap where the mattress and the bottom of this would hit. So it'll make sense in a second. So let's just put those out of the way, scoot those over like that, and let's talk about this panel. Now, what we're going to do is sandwich this panel in some beadboard. Here's some beadboard for you to see. This is this is nothing more than wainscoting. It's a very standard beadboard. It's an MDF back or MDF core, painted, all pre-primed, all ready to go. I'm painting mine, so we're going to stick with the MDF. It's cheaper. They come just like this right here, just for wainscoting to nail up against the wall. So you can buy them in 2-foot by 4-foot sections. Very simple, and it only costs, I think, around $8, $8 to $10 for one of those. You'll need 2 for the project, but for right now, we're just going to work on the headboard. So the thickness of this is 1/4 inch. Now, for me to do this, I could take this and make a frame like that and then just nail it in the back. It's not going to look so nice from the back. Again, you're not going to really see the back of the headboard, so you could do that. But what we're going to do is something a little different. We're going to create similar groove that we did on the drawers, and we're going to make it in the side of our stile and rail so this panel fits in there. So from the back or the front, when it's all painted, it won't matter. It'll get nice and sandwiched in there. So to do that, this is 1/4 inch thick. This material is 3/4 inches. And I want to run, basically, I want to get that groove to match this. Now, if I run this right down the middle, I'll be going a little bit this way, a little bit that way on either side. So what I can do is grab my feeler gauges, or my height gauges already from Kreg, and I'm going to say, I want it to be, if you look at this, where's my pencil so you can see, this is 3/4, say this is 1/4, and I'll flip it over, and this is 1/4, and then we're left with 1/4 inch on the inside there that our panel's going to fit in. So how then do I cut that groove right down the middle and make sure that it's equidistant on either side? I grab my 1/4 inch spacer, I slide it in, I set my fence, I lock it in place. Now I can throw on the glasses, turn the table saw on, run the piece. Now that groove is good, but not wide enough to fit this. Now it's not completely centered. If you can see it right there, it's not completely centered because we're 1/4 inch off here. Now what we're going to do is flip the board around and run it again. And what this should do is center that gap in there. So now we've got 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch there, and then hopefully 1/4 inch in the middle. Now we take our piece right here and we check it for fit. It might be a little tight. Nope, there it is. And it locks right in place. Now you've got a nice way to lock this panel. So all we're going to do then is take our material, run it through, flip it around, and do it with our other 2 pieces right here. Okay, so now I'm totally going against pocket hole etiquette. You never want to drill pocket holes in this manner across the grain like this because the screws don't bite very well into end grain. We can't do it otherwise because if you do it the traditional method, we'd actually be screwing into the groove, which wouldn't be a strong joint at all. So we're cheating a little bit, but when the 2x2s on either side of the panel get locked into place, it's going to be a very, very strong joint and very durable. So with the Kreg plans, you already know what size to cut this middle panel, but if you're making anything, and this is sort of a point to figure it out, if you already know, especially if you use the setup blocks, that it's 3/8 of an inch deep on either side, you know that total 3/8 and 3/8 on either side is 3/4. So that being said, you've got 3/4. I'm writing that down just so I don't forget. So you've got 3/4 wider than the opening that your panel has to be. So now I measure between, and I'm 33.5 inches. Now, 33.5 inches plus 3/4 would be 34.25. Now, 34.25 is the exact width of this panel. We don't want it exact. We want a little bit of room for expansion and contraction. So what we're going to do is knock it down 1/8 of an inch. Give it a little bit of wiggle room, not only when it's going in, but also for a little bit of that expansion and contraction. So 34.1/8. So the same thing applies to if you're doing it this way as well. I've got an 18-inch style here. That 18 inches is 18 plus 3/4, your 3/8 on either side. Follow me here, you'll get it in a second. And then you add the 3/4 to the 8. No, I lost myself because I was thinking. So it's 18 plus 3/8 and 3/8, 18 and 3/4. Then you want to take just a tick off. So then basically 18 and 3/4, so it'd be 18 and 5/8. That way you have a little bit of wiggle room. You got it? No? Sort of? Okay. Well, you just email me if you have any questions. All right.
So to cut your beadboard panel to size, you just want to make sure that you center the beads on either side. You have the same distance on the left as you do on the right, so it doesn't look like you have more of a bead on one side and less on another. Pretty simple. Then it's just as easy as sliding the beadboard panel into place into the grooves that you created. Make sure you seat it in the bottom groove as well. You can see a little love tap, and boom, it'll lock right into place. And then just clamp and screw the thing together. Make sure then that you sand all your joints nice and flush, so that way you have a nice finished surface and you're ready for paint. Now it's time to attach the 2x2 legs. Simply lay down a 1/2-inch spacer, then put your panel down, and then secure your 2x2 legs to the panel with pocket screws. Next, we're going to take a 1x4, cut it to length, and then round over all the edges, make it nice and safe for the kiddies, glue it, and tack it right in place. And just a note, the footboard is the same exact way that we're building the headboard, except for it's not sticking off the ground. Okay, it's not the final step. You still have to paint it, but you gotta assemble it first. Put your 2 base cabinets back to back, screw them together with 1¼ Kreg screws, and then screw the footboard in and the headboard, but make sure in between you have enough time to give the camera guy a little cup of coffee. There you go. And then it's time to put on the mattress and all the bedding, because presentation is everything. And lucky for us, our client came home early.
Hope they like it. I think we made her happy, obviously, because she's laying on the bed. Do you like it? Pretty. She is satisfied, so she says. You know what? Not a hard project. You can obviously see what it's going to do for you is give you storage. So that way you put all the tough clothes away, or at least hope she'll put the tough clothes away. But for the most part, with the Kreg products, it makes it easy to do. Nothing here was that life-shattering as far as building this bed. So you can do it too. Check out their website. They give you all the educational advice you'd ever need. If not, hit them up with emails. Hit me up with emails, for crying out loud. But go out and at least try it. Now let's enjoy it. Come on, move over. You mind if I leave your bed here for a while? No? No? So you're going to put your clothes away? Move over. You're going to actually put your clothes away? Yeah. No. No. How long do you think Mommy will let us leave the bed here in the driveway?